Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome to the stream, everybody. Hello, hello. Super excited to be here, even though it is super duper hot out today. So, today is going to be similar to what we did on Friday. On Friday, we started a brand new project. We started making a USA 250 burger brand. So, we have started making letters. So we have US and 50 done. I'm not entirely sure if I'm happy with the 5 yet. We might end up remaking that guy. So the letters that the letter and number that we need to continue and complete our letter set is an A and a 2. So we have this much steel left, and I know for a fact we can get our 2 out of this, but I don't think we can get the A out of the same piece of stock. So we're going to do a little bit of stock processing. We are also going to be making enough material that we can put a circle around the whole design. And I would also love to do 3 stars to put in, or to incorporate into this design. A burger brand, what I kind of mean by that is we are going to make a design that we can heat up and burn into a hamburger patty or a hamburger bun. So this is similar to what you might use to brand a cow so that, you know, it doesn't get stolen, or brand your logo into like a piece of wood or something like that. High-end restaurants sometimes brand specific pieces of meat or burgers or things like that. So we are going to make a USA 250 brand to celebrate the 4th of July, which is this Saturday. So my goal is to get this finished by Friday's stream, by the end there. So like I said, we still need 2 letters, 2 to 3 stars, and a circle to go around it. Then we also need to manufacture a handle. So within that amount of work, I think we can definitely get that done by Friday. Hey Corwin, good afternoon. How am I? I am pretty warm. I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty warm today. We are under a heat advisory today. Hey Mahalo, a 75 stream streak. Goodness gracious, it's been that long. Thank you so much for joining me, both of you guys. So we do have an ad starting in about a minute or so. I think I'm going to start up the forge just so that we can heat up our material. I'm going to do my very best to stay as cool as I possibly can. I have my normal water, which I usually keep around. I have a second water already doled out, prepped, and in the refrigerator waiting for me to run out of water there. And then I also have 2 32-ounce Gatorades. So I think I have enough liquid for today that's all nice and prepped and ready to go. However, there is always a chance that it's just so hot that I don't have a big enough stomach to keep the liquid in my guts so that I, don't sweat it out. So if that happens, I may, unlikely, but I may have to end stream a tiny bit early. So fingers crossed I can keep hydrated. Let me grab my headphones so I can actually hear myself talk. That's a big Gatorade. Yes, I have 2 32-ounce Gatorades. I got a yellow one and I got a red one sitting in the fridge for me. Or at least I think it's red. It might be blue. I don't know. I can't remember. But I have 2 16-ounce waters also prepped. So, my normal one that I bring out here. There's a second one that's in the fridge. So all that liquid, if I need it, it's there. Hopefully I don't need that much because that will make me have to go to the bathroom so fast. That's what ad breaks are for. Yes. Yes, definitely. Streak machine, the dew point. Oh, streak matches the dew point. Wow. It's not quite that humid here, Mahalo. But I wouldn't be surprised if later on it gets pretty humid. We need a hanging Gatorade bucket to refresh winning coach style. Right? You need just like a whole bucket of Gatorade and dump it over my head. I'd have to make sure that I don't have my lav mic on while I do that, though, because I don't want to ruin it. I do have a new set that we ordered the week or the day before our indie stream, and it didn't show up in time. Well, it's here now. We have a brand new mic kit. I haven't used it on the stream yet. It's kind of there as a backup. So I think the Butler has it right now. Anyway, okay, I put the heat on, but I didn't put any steel in it. So let's put the steel in before I get too terribly distracted. So we are going to start by making the two. So this is the shape of the two that I want to do. And I want it to be around the same size as all of the rest of the letters. So we'll see how well I can make this happen. I was on a roll on Friday, but today I'm not on that roll. I gotta get that roll going. So, yeah, like I said, once we finish this too, we're gonna start doing a little bit of stock processing so we have enough steel to continue with the a couple of stars and the circle that I want to go around this piece. All right, so everything, I'm going to try my very, very best to do everything but the circle today, because I only want to use the mailbox. I don't want to turn on the big forge. The big forge is going to get too hot too quick. So I'm going to see what we can do with just the mailbox. So hopefully it works out. It's going to keep it a little bit cooler in here. It's still going to be warm, but you know, it is what it is. We're a blacksmith shop, not an air conditioner shop. All right. Now, the hardest part about making letters and numbers is that for whatever reason, my brain always blanks out when I start trying to form the shapes. Like, what does a 2 look like? So that's kind of why I have these pieces of paper right over here so that I can kind of look at them for reference and make sure that I remember and shape the correct letters and numbers. So I know that sounds a little bit odd because, you know, I've been reading and writing for, you know, like at this point, probably 35 years, but you know, it's one of those things when you're under pressure because you're trying to keep things nice and hot. What was that? Oh, that's what that was. My papers flew over there. So let's actually put these in a place that maybe they won't fly, or maybe we'll put something on top of them. Here's a piece of steel. We're going to stick those right there with the steel on top so they don't fly everywhere. But yeah, pressure. You know, I never know if I'm going to blank out for some reason. Alrighty. So, let's see. Today's Monday, right? So, last weekend, they announced that the final season, well, I don't know if it's even the final season, but the last season, or the next season maybe, of Forged in Fire starts on Friday. Wait, no, not on Friday. On Wednesday? Yes, the 1st. The 1st is Wednesday. I know what day it is. So I'm super excited about that. I actually got a chance to talk to a couple of people who were on Forged in Fire. and I'm super excited about the last season airing. And so I also have 2 interviews with them that we will be putting out this week and next week to kind of celebrate, and also because, you know, I happen to have them. So super excited. I really want to watch the new season, although it's going to be a little bit before I can watch it because I don't have the History Channel. But it's going to be on the History Channel. I'm super excited that you guys get to see that. So let's do our first heat while we're talking, or maybe not while we're talking. Maybe, you know, before I get too jabber jibber. All right, let's do this. All right. So once again, we are going to start with an upset corner. So we need to keep this nice and hot as we're going and keep on upsetting this. All right, let's get some more heat. We're getting there. We've got our nice bend in there. We might want to actually push that a little bit further out. Yeah, if we take a look at our different letters, this bend looks a little bit short. So I think I'll probably push that a little bit further that way. Woo, it's hot over by the forge. But I don't know why I would question that ever, because, you know, it's a forge. But yeah, we've got 4 out of our 6 letters already completed. So we've got 2 letters to go. We might end up, if we have enough stock at the end, we might redo our 5. I wasn't entirely happy with it. I think the top is all right, but it's a little bit on the longer side, and the bottom is definitely too short. I'd like to get the middle bar a little bit closer to the center of the digit. And so we might end up doing another 5 to kind of fix that. But I want to get started on something a little bit exciting. So we're going to start with that 2, and then we're going to do a little bit of the boring stuff, you know, the stock processing. So yeah, when I heard that they were going to air the next season of Forge and Fire, I was kind of curious if they were going to maybe do more seasons. I think that would be cool, but I also know that it's been a while since they've made a season, so it might be a little while, and it might also be a little bit difficult to do another season. All right. Like I said, we're kind of trying to make that a little bit longer. Grab a little bit more heat. We're starting to get that going. We've got a decent sized dropped piece of steel. I think we've got a decently sized bottom. It's not quite as long as our 5, but I think it's a lot better looking than our other, or than the 5, so I think it's all right. It's So we're going to continue working on our upset corner. Started my stream with a number 2, eh? I did. I started my stream with a number 2. Like a number 2 pencil, right? They're the best ones because you can label your scantrons with them, and you can draw with them. They're very nice. Number 2 pencils. So we're just making a number 2. That is another thing that would be really fun to do. But I don't have a lathe. So a lot of people have recent, or not, I guess not necessarily recently, but there have been a lot of people who take scraps of Damascus steel or pattern welded steel. And what they do is they kind of form it into the shape of a pen, and then they finish it off in the lathe. And so then you get this lovely Damascus or pattern welded steel pen jacket. Then you put all your pen guts in there, and it's a beautiful, beautiful keepsake for business people and other things like that. So it would be so much fun. I've wanted to make a pen for a while, but I don't have a lathe yet. So maybe sometime in the future I'll get myself a lathe. There's one at Harbor Freight, and I've been thinking about it over the years. It's like, how good is it? So maybe one day, if I get the budget for it, maybe we'll do a review on it, see how well it goes. I've only actually had the opportunity to use a lathe like once. So I'm probably not the best reviewer in the world. But I'd love to try it, try to get a little better at it. All right, let's do another heat. We're starting to get there. You can kind of see that the quarter is starting to form. We got 1 or 2 more heats, and we should be able to move on to the top side of the tube. This is the bottom. I was going to spend a little bit of time this weekend kind of cleaning up these tongs and getting them a little bit closer together. There's a little bit of a weird twist in them, and I wanted to fix that, but I did nothing this weekend. Absolutely nothing. It was super hot, and I was feeling lazy. So we'll have to do a little bit more tweaks with these tongs, and we'll definitely do the heat treating at a later date, maybe when it's a little tiny bit less hot. Machinist equipment is a money rabbit hole. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I remember watching Alex Steele's YouTube channel with the first machining tool he ever got, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was a surface grinder, like a one of those weird surface grinder things that goes back and forth. And then he got a lathe, and then he got a CNC plasma cutting table, and the list goes on and on. He's just like, his shop is so much better equipped now than it was when he first started. He had an anvil and a bunch of hammers and some tongs. One day we'll get there. But in the meantime, we're going to work with what we've got. All right, let's do this. Like I said, it's going to be like 1 or 2 more heats before we start moving on to the next area of this 2. Goodness gracious. All right, let's do this down here. We're going to hang on to it like so. Hammer it a little bit. We've gained a lot of material at that top. We're kind of thinning it out, drawing it out just a hair. So I think we're doing pretty well with that. We'll do 1 more heat to kind of fix that up. And then we'll be ready to go. Excuse me. Goodness gracious. Sneezing everywhere. How goes the metal smacking? It's going pretty well so far. We've got a nice upset corner for the bottom of our 2 because we have a U and an S, and we have a 5 and a 0. So we need a 2 and an A. Am I making a railway spike? I am not. I'm actually making a branding iron that is specifically designed to burn our design into a burger patty or a bun. So a lot of people celebrate the 4th of July by doing barbecues. And so I figure we've already done a whole bunch of the barbecue tools. We've done, the barbecue fork and the spatula, and we've done the little tongies. So maybe we'll get a little bit fancy and do a barbecue brand so that we can brand our logo onto the burger. So I'm pretty excited about that. The goal is to create 6 letters. We've got USA 250. I would like to make a couple of stars to go in with that because, what do we associate with the flag of the United States is the stars and the stripes. So I want to do a couple of stars at least, and we're going to probably do a round circle so that way we can kind of encompass the whole design in a circle so that it all sticks together and we can apply a handle to it. I could go for a Merca burger, right? Oh yeah, nice. I thought that last piece looked a bit like a railway spike. It does. It kind of does. Hey Sandwich, welcome to the stream. I'm working on the 2. So what we're doing is we're making an upset corner for the bottom of the 2, like that flat surface that the 2 stands on. So this section right here is what we're working on. And once I kind of get that set where I like it, then we're going to start working on that curve of the 2. And then we'll cut it off. And I guess I got to do a little bit more steel processing. We've got this bar right here. We're going to process it into the same size stock that we've been using for the rest of this so that we can get our A, our stars, and our circle out of this piece of steel. We will also be working on making a handle for this in the future, but I probably won't be working on that until at least Wednesday, if not Friday. So yeah. Will you accept last stream's 5 or will you redo it? I am going to wait until I have completed the rest of the letters and numbers, and I'm going to kind of decide if I want to do or if I have time to do another 5. I would like to do a second crack at it regardless, but either way I need to process more stock. I think we'll probably redo the 5 just because I think it'll look a lot nicer. The butler thinks that the 5 looks fine, but I just don't like the fact that the middle section isn't centered in the middle of the 5. So we'll probably do another one, but maybe not. It depends on timing, I think. I gotta get it done by Friday because Saturday I'm going to a barbecue and I gotta use it, right? All right. I also found it okay. Looks 5y. Yeah, I agree. It does kind of look 5y. It just doesn't look not symmetrical, because I mean a 5 isn't supposed to be symmetrical, but it just doesn't, you know, aesthetically look pleasing to me, unfortunately. Okay, we're kind of flattening that out because it got a little bit fat as we were doing the upset quarter, and now we're going to make it the same width. All right, so that is our bottom of our 2. So the next thing that we need to do is start working on the round section at the top. So let's heat this bar up again. Let's see how easy it goes. Just do like they do with those letter signs and turn the 2 around backwards. Something like that. I don't know. I don't think this looks enough like a 2, you know? I think it would be like, I don't know, whatever direction that is. I just don't think it looks quite right for a 2. I think it looks more like a 5 to me. So I've kind of got all of my letters kind of laid out on this grinder disc just to kind of see what it all looks like as we go. Roman numerals instead. That would be so much easier to do Roman numerals, but you know what? Making the legible numbers, I think that's going to look really cool if I can get them to look right. I mean, I'm trying to make 250 to, like, you know, there's a whole bunch of other 250s that people have been making designs around, and they're all like the Arabic numbers. And you know, like, I think that it would look a little bit more Super Bowl-y if I used the Roman numerals. Also, if I can get this done quick enough, if I can get all of the components except for the circle and the handle done today, I should be able to complete the rest of that tomorrow, and then maybe I'm considering doing a second brand, and that second brand will be a Ray's Smithy burger brand. If I can manage to do 2 before Friday, that would be awesome. I don't think we're going to do the full letters Ray's Smithy, but we might just do like RS and maybe like an anvil shape or something. We'll figure something out. But that won't start until Wednesday at the very earliest. All right, let's do another heat. It's also going to depend on if I've got to end the stream early for any of these particular days, because it's super duper hot out. Super duper hot out. That is a really, really tall one. So we're going to heat that back up again, and we're going to see if we can't round that, or like make sure that round is a little bit more tight. lightening it up. Hey, Bluesy. Welcome to the stream. Welcome, welcome. We are working on our 2 for our 250. We've got our 5, we've got our 0, maybe our 5. We've definitely got our 0, maybe our 5. We've got our U and our S. We need a 2 and we need an A. She wants the RS brand so she can claim all the burgers, and someone says, I don't see your name on it. She just says, yeah, it's right there. See? Yeah, it's my brand. It's my brand. It's my burger. Oh, goodness. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, it heavily depends on how quickly I can get the rest of this job done. I would love to be able to make a second burger brand, but if we can't manage it, you know, 1 is sufficient. All right, so we've got an ad starting in about 2 minutes and 10 seconds-ish, according to the countdown, you know. So let's see if I can't do another heat before the ad starts. And it might help if I, you know, to get this to actually, like, you know, on there. So it's starting to look pretty nice, I think. I think it kind of is starting to look like a 2. Like a 2. Something like that. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is probably cut that off about there. And we'll probably look at curling it in just a hair bit more. And then we'll have our 2 complete. Let's see if I can't get this to work right. I don't know, maybe. Okay. Let's go here. We want it like so. Maybe like this. Okay, so I'm going to change the camera and we're going to cut this off after the ad starts. Or not after it starts, after it ends. You can totally see the papers on the chair moving around. It's kind of funny, actually. I got my paperweight, but it's not a good enough weight, I think. Ooh, goodness. There, we'll put it right there. Hopefully it will work. And while I'm at this, while the ad is going, I'm also going to take a look and kind of figure out exactly where I want to cut that off. And I think I want to cut it off right about there. Yeah, I think that's going to look nice. Right there. Bring that around to the side so I can see it. And now we're going to move my water. And I'm going to start heating this guy up. All right, welcome back from that ad. We are going to cut this guy off of here. Hopefully I can manage it. And there's our 2, backwards as it may be. But yeah, I think what I want to do is I want to heat that up and bring that down just a hair, so it's a little bit more of a curve, and then we'll be done with that as well. Okay. What I do with the other side of that? It's on the floor right there. So if I take a look at this guy, it's just not big enough to make another letter out of, I don't think. So we're going to keep this and we're going to stick it over there so that I can kind of use it as a guide for the longer piece, because like I said, we are going to have to process some more steel for the A, the stars, and the round circle. All right, I got a fan blowing directly over here, and so I'm going to stand over here for just a hair. That way, you know, I cool down a little bit. I'm starting to sweat over here. And then I also need to move the camera over. Back over to the anvil. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay. Let's go in here and see if we can't retrieve our 2. Or maybe push it in a little more. We'll probably push it in just a hair more. First, at least. And then, yeah. All right, so I've got that piece right there. And you know what? I need to cool this piece down, because if I don't, I'm going to pick it up. And I want to make sure that it's nice and cool when I do that. Because, you know, the most dangerous thing in a blacksmith shop is black iron or black steel. You never know if it's hot. All right, let's finish off this tube. Not bad, not bad. I think that looks pretty well like a 2. If I set it there, like so. You guys can kind of see it. I think it looks like a little 2. So I'm going to cool that down and put that with our finished letters. It's a little on the short side, but I don't think it's too bad. It's about the same height as our U. So I think that's actually pretty decent. All right, so we've got a 5, a 0, and a 2. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is work on starting our steel processing again. More heat. All right. $250. So if I look at this, it's a 2, a 5, and a 0. I think that 2 actually looks pretty darn good. The 5 is just a little bit tall, but so is that S. You know, we kind of got a couple of good ones and a couple of ones. So we need to make an A, some stars, and a circle. So our burger brand's going to kind of look like this. Kind of trying to set things up so that I can see it mentally in my head as we go. And let me kind of show you what that looks like right now. So we're gonna go over to this one, and I'm gonna see if I can't tip this up so you can kind of see the design a little bit. You've got a 2, 5, 0. We got an S and an A. We need, or I mean, an S and a U. We need the A right here, and then I want to do a couple of stars, like maybe in the middle. And I want to circle around the whole thing so that we can weld it all together so that I can put it on a handle. Oops, I totally did the US part backwards, but that's all right. That's all right. But yeah, exciting. We're getting there slowly but surely. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Try to keep nice and cool over here and hydrated. Got to do a little bit of steel processing. And so let's do our next heat of that. Blue Red, thank you so much for that re-up of your subscription. Thank you so much for your continued support. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much. My letters be bouncing. I gotta pick up an S. All right, let's keep on processing. $8 months. That is incredible. That is incredible. Thank you so much for that. You guys' support is why I do this. You know, I'd be out in the shop anyway, you know, regardless, but your support is why I put my efforts on the internet. You know, it's a lot easier for me just to do the blacksmithing stuff out here alone, listening to music and, you know, selling things and just having fun out here. And you guys make it even more fun. But you guys are also part of the reason that I come out here as often as I do. I definitely don't think I'd have the motivation to come out 3 times a week without you guys encouraging me. All right. So we have this little tail of stock left from our first 5 letters. And so I want to take the piece of stock that is currently in the mailbox and I want to lengthen it out and thin it out so that it turns into a piece of stock like this, but really long. Hey, we like watching you drop forge, right? You guys, you're awesome. You know, you don't mind when I screw things up, when I'm actively learning, when I drop forge things, you find that fun. So it also, it makes it fun for me too. So yes, this is my guide for that piece of stock right in there. Like I said, I want to complete that long piece. So we're going to do our next letter, which is going to be an A. Once we get that A complete, I think we're probably going to do some stars. We'll see what we can do there. Stars are going to be a lot harder to do, especially trying to get those crisp points in there. I have a tendency to make very wonky stars. I've made a few stars like this before, but they tend to be a little bit where some of the points are wider than others. So we'll see what I can do here. You never screw things up. You just discover ways that won't work. That's very true. And I learn more from figuring things out that don't work than I do from figuring out things that do work. Because sometimes when something doesn't work the way I want it to for that particular thing, I now know what that piece of steel will do in that circumstance. And so I can apply that to some other project if I want that look. All right. Let's do another heat. Okay, so if I take a look between these two, this guy's a little bit thicker and a little bit wider than what we want. So we need to grow this out a little bit further, continuing working on our half taper. It's like Bob Ross says, there's no mistakes, just happy little accidents. Yes, happy little accidents. And you know what? Sometimes those happy little accidents make your piece better than it would previously have been if it had gone the way you wanted it to. Like my trowel, you know? When I made my trowel, remember when we drew out this lovely tail? We were going to put a piece of wood right here. Well, this is a beautiful handle, just like it is right now. And I think this is a really nice looking trowel. It's a full steel trowel, and I think it's working pretty well. So sometimes happy little accidents are better than your original design. All right. I'm going to move my camera so that we can get a little bit of variety with our shots. And I can pinch my finger on the tripod. That sounds good too. All right. There we go. Hey, Shelly. Welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. The steel gets a say in the result. Yes, it definitely does. It definitely gets a say. We are almost there with this like end piece right here. This is about enough stock that, well, I think it's actually a little less stock than I need for, all right, so this is what we're trying to get. And this is where we're at. We're almost there. So this is almost this length right here, enough steel that I could start making a star. I think I need a little bit more though. So we've got our 250. There's our 2. Oh wait, I guess the 2 and our 5 and our 0 all done. And then we have our U and our S done. I think it goes this way though. So I'm super excited about that. I think those look really nice. Real nice. Whoops. Just here for a couple of minutes. About to go to the hospital to see my dad. Oh. Well, I hope he's doing all right. I definitely hope he's doing all right. Bluesy says, oh, I wonder how long my not really feeling heat in my hands will last. I've retired. I'm on a cycling trip and we had a barbecue yesterday. I moved hot coals with my bare hands and people looked at me as if I was crazy. I'm not crazy. I just used to be a farmer mechanic. I will tell you that you do lose it. Because when I used to be a jeweler, when I was an apprentice, I used to do a lot of polishing, and polishing is going to heat up the jewelry that you're working with as you go. And eventually you just get these calluses and you just can't feel that heat as well anymore. And over time, I got some of that feeling back. Not all of it, but some of it. Some of it. Yes. Tell your dad that we say hi and that we hope that he's doing well or that he gets better. Very warm today. Man, I am already out of water. So, we are at the 1 hour mark. I'm going to go grab my next water and then we'll do our next heat. Thank you guys. It's appreciated. Yeah. Tell your dad I said hi too. It's been a while. I'll be right back. Ah. Extra cold water. Just pulled it out of the fridge. Alrighty. I will not pray for him. I cannot believe in a... Alright. Just make sure you have your reference diagram handy when you start putting the brand together. It would be so easy to get a 2 or an S or a 5 turned around wrong. Exactly. That's why I have it to begin with. Because I have it over there because I was for sure that I was going to put the curve in like backwards or something, you know? All right. I am pretty happy with that right there. So that's looking real nice. So we're going to continue that half taper up the bar. And I want to finish out the entirety of this bar because it's going to allow us to get the circle around the outside as well as our A and at least 1 star. Gotta have a star. Thank you, Mahalo. I don't have a lot of rules. All right. Let's turn that way. So I keep looking at my reference or like the letters that we've already completed. And it's because I need to mentally picture what we're coming up with. And it makes it a lot easier for me to keep in my brain like exactly where we're at and what we need to do next so I can keep on track. Ray's Rules sounds like an early 90s sitcom. It does. Like a family sitcom? A family sitcom. I feel like Ray would be the dad, though. All right. So like I said, we are going to continue processing the rest of that bar. And I am positive that we will finish the rest of it today. I really want to get the A completed as well. So that way we can maybe work on the circle around the outside and maybe the triangle, not triangles, the stars. Maybe we can make those up on Wednesday. I would like to actually get more of that done if I can manage it. Maybe, I don't know. I will do my best. We'll do this as quickly as we can. walks in. Today we will forge without dropping canned laughter. Yes. Gotta have the ex-Marine drill sergeant mom. That could be, it could be. I am a little bit on the bossy side sometimes. All right, let's do another heat before that ad starts. I'm also going to change the position of the camera after that, or like during the ad, I think. That way we can get a nice variety of shots for this half taper. We're getting there. We are getting there. Okay. Super warm today. So how about you guys? How warm is it for you? I saw on Facebook that Europe is getting an unusual heat wave. We're definitely getting an unusual heat wave here in the United States. We're actually in a drought as well. I haven't been outside since I got to work. Well, at least that means you're probably pretty cool, right? Your work is air conditioned. Heat index 99 today. Ooh. 99 Fahrenheit. Pretty warm. It was the past days, but it wasn't too bad today. That's good. That's good. Heat index is 112 here. Ugh. That's Texas, though. You're deep south. We've got 93 and windy. Earlier today, we had a heat advisory. So in here, it's well over 100 because we've got the forge going. But outside of this shop, it's not quite as bad. We had some guys next door who were mowing the field next door where those houses used to be. And I went out and I made sure that they were nice and cool and they had drinks if they needed them. They said that they were fine, but yeah, I wanted to make sure that they didn't get dehydrated either. We broke some record, hottest day ever recorded in some places in Germany. Record broken the next day. Also the hottest night or something ever recorded. Ugh. It's not even like July. It's still June, guys. What are we doing? What are we doing? Maybe I should stick this over here so that I can like take a look at it, but not like disturb it when I'm hammering. It's better since yesterday evening. We'll be hot again next week. Ooh, gross. Climate changing. This is what we're doing. Yep. All right, let's do another heat. The National Weather Service says 94 Fahrenheit, showing 96 on the thermometer at my location. Heat index 100 Fahrenheit. Ooh. Yeah, like I said, it's pretty warm here. Sounds pretty warm there, though. All right, we're gonna heat that up. We're probably gonna do 1 or 2 more heats. I wanna thin that out just a hair bit more. If you take a look at the chew, this is a lot thicker than this still. I don't want my A to be excessively more thick than the rest of my letters. But see, guys, the difference between you guys and me is that I ask for this heat, right? I've got the hot, but I know that it's hot, and then I'm adding to it. '76, there was summer like this, so it happens. Oh, there was a summer like this. Yeah. Northwest Louisiana. So you're still relatively south, you know. Still relatively south in Louisiana. Yeah, not quite seemingly. Usually they only have probabilities. Like this event is now 20 times more likely than 20 years ago. But this time they said this could not have happened like this 50 years ago. They simulated the otherwise same situation, and it would have been about 3 degrees cooler in the 70s. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. I am not a meteorologist. I just, what people tell me is what I learn. So, all right, let's do another heat. So right now I'm alternating between the round part of my hammer and the flat part of my hammer. That way I can get the forging that I need and the flat, even shape that I need. We're getting a lot closer now. Pretty happy with that. Let's take a look again. It's a little bit thicker, not too bad. I'm not a meteorologist either. I just know that when I walk outside, it's either very hot, not so hot, or kind of cool. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Whoop, I'm about to drop my water. Goodness gracious. All right, so let's see here. We've got another little section that I need to process, and then we'll be ready. We've got plenty of steel for making at least a star and the A for this piece. And so that's really good. I'm pretty happy with that. Now we're working on more stars and a circle. I still have this farmer's feel for the weather. I got you there, especially when there's like, you know, you got old injuries that like start acting up, you know? My grandpa could always tell when a storm was coming. The old aches and pains. All right, let's do another heat. All right. We are going to add a little bit more of our steel into the forge. We're probably going to turn it around like so. That way we can start working on this section right here. I like that German farmer's rule. When the rooster crows on the manure heap, the weather changes or it stays the same. Isn't that the truth? Few more heats and we should be able to start working again on our characters. So we, like I said, we're going to be doing an A. We're going to do a couple of stars. Then we also need to do a circle. We definitely will not end up getting all of the circle all the way done because it needs to be, the diameter of the circle needs to be wider than the opening of the mailbox. And I want to make sure, or I don't want to start the big forge today. We'll start it up on Wednesday for Wednesday stream. So we are heating up that bar, the bar that we're heating up the cold end of the bar. So it's going to take us a little bit longer between heats for at least a little bit as they start getting hotter. Or, you know, as we continue doing heats, it's going to take less and less time to heat up the bar. I'm getting real hot now. I'm staying pretty hydrated though, but I can definitely feel that I am sweating through my clothes. So I think we're doing all right. I think I'll make it to the end of the stream. I'm definitely going to want to shower. All right. Let's do another heat. I was a hair worried about today's weather. All right, let's keep on keeping on. As my dad used to say when we went on a road trip, don't drink more than you can sweat out. Right? In this case, though, I do need to drink more than I can sweat out because I get kidney stones. And I need to make sure that I'm washing out my kidneys. So yeah, this weekend I didn't really do much. It was really hot outside and I was feeling a little bit lazy. I had a list of things that I wanted to get done, but I just couldn't make myself come out here, unfortunately. So we will get those things done later on in the week, maybe next weekend. Oh, kidney stones hurt. They definitely do. Yeah, that kind of equilibrium would basically shut down some very relevant body functions. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's very important when it's hot outside that if you are going to be doing like welding or blacksmithing or like whatever is, whatever it is that you're doing that's super hot, that you keep drinking and keeping yourself hydrated. Not soda, not coffee, just like water, electrolyte, heavy liquids. But you got to keep yourself hydrated. Kidney stones are no fun. It is. It definitely is. All right. Let's do another heat. So did any of you guys see Alex Steele's latest video on YouTube? He finished his Damascus barrel project. So for the past year, he has been on and off trying to create a tube, like in a style that would be used for gun barrel making. He is not making a gun; he's just making the tube. But yeah, he finished off his tube, and it has his name in it in the Damascus pattern. It's so cool. It was such an interesting series of videos that he was doing. So if you haven't checked it out, check them out. They're amazing. Heavy liquids, but not heavy water. Yeah. I get a water poisoning in 76. I drank too much and did not need to because I sweat so much. Oh. Yes, I also cringed when I saw the hardening part of that video. He was using mild steel and wrought iron, and he did a hardening cycle a hardening and tempering cycle on the barrel, and it bent. It bent real bad. I think I cringed the most when he decided that he wanted to flatten it out using the press, because even he predicted what was going to happen. Definitely. He ended up with some pretty pieces or barrels of steel, but it was like two and not just one. So, I don't know. I would be sad. So let's do another heat. Can you shoot in curves with a bent barrel? I don't know. I don't know what happens. I am not an expert in gun manufacturing. But something tells me no. All right. We're going to get this very last section right here. We're going to taper or half taper that out, and then we will be good to go, ready to get all of the rest of our pieces that we need to put together. Around corners. Sure you can. I think there was a Mythbusters episode about this once. Spoilers? No. Hey, Knots, welcome to the stream. So, yeah. Yeah. Sounds like a recipe for a blowout. Technically you can, but you would lose a lot of accuracy and a lot of distance. It all depends on how hard the bend is. If it's only a few degrees, sure. If you make it a water gun, it'll be a lot, or it'll be fine. That's very true. A water gun, water is very flexible. But the bullet will not keep doing a curve. Not, like, I don't know. I assume that when it comes out of the muzzle, it just continues going in at the same direction, you know, with the continuation. All right. So we are almost at the point where we continue work, or where we can continue working on our letters. It's really exciting to me. I know that the steel processing is a little bit on the boring side. At least I assume it is. Maybe it's not. I mean, it's like really bright, shiny. It's, you know, it's interesting to a point. But I think the interesting part is actually making the letters and numbers. So I'm really excited to be able to get on with the next letter, and that letter is going to be an A. It will indeed. Newton's law tells you so. I was really good in science in high school. Unfortunately, high school is where my science education ended. So there's a lot of science that I still have yet to learn. And so I try to default to experts when I need to know about science and engineering. All right, let's do one more heat with this camera angle, and then we're going to change it again. All right, we're going to continue processing the same area. We've got a nice long bar. We've got plenty of steel for what we need. Am I done with my next water? I'm almost done with my next water. water tastes really gritty, and I'm not sure why. I am not sure why. It might be that there's like steel dust in there. I don't know. I got it from the cupboard when I filled it, so I don't know why. I try to keep the cap on them so that I don't get steel dust inside. The German army did experiments with curved barrel attachment for an assault rifle in World War II. Did they? I'd have to look that up. But I don't know. It'd be interesting. All right, let's do another heat. All right. Looks like we're just about there. We've got a pretty darn long bar. I think we're going to heat this back up one more time and see what we can do with it. That'll be our last heat processing this. And then we're going to restart working on the characters. An experimental curved barrel attachment. Wow. One little grinding session for the number 2 probably got into the cup. That's probably what it is. That's probably what it is. So for our A, what we're going to start with is another upset corner. We are going to start with a much longer upset corner. And we are going to see about bending it in a acute angle as opposed to a right angle. But we're going to start with a right angle so that we can get that lovely upset corner. I want a nice sharp top to our A. Do this one last heat, processing the steel. Then we're going to change the angle of the camera and we're going to start working on our A. All right. We are going to flip this around and we are going to start working from this end right there. We are going to turn that into an A. All right, I need to change the camera angle just so that we've got a little bit of variety. I might actually want to go a little bit closer. Like so. You guys might be able to see this in the wide camera, but I'm willing to overlook it. Okay. I need those back on the face of the anvil so I can take a look and compare the sizes. All right, I'm out of water, so I'm gonna grab a Gatorade. We've got an ad in about 2.5 minutes. Once that is done, we will do our next heat. But yeah. Oh boy. The hallway is just as warm as the interior of the shop. Blue. Blue instead of yellow right now. All right, that's 2 waters. Now we're gonna do Gatorade. So, right now, what we are trying to do is we want to make the angle on the A, like the initial, like the tall part. And we are going to make the cross area of the A as a separate piece of steel. I'm not going to worry about using or about making that right away. I'm just going to make the angle, that top angle there. We will cut out a section of probably this steel right here to put that crossbar on there. So I want to make sure that we use all of the steel that we just processed to do the A, or like the outside of the A, the stars, and that circle. It's getting warm. We have an hour left in our stream, and I think we'll do some pretty decent amount of the characters that we need to do. So I'm super excited about that. I am slightly worried about the size of the star. So we're going to make 1 star, and then we're going to try and figure out how well a smaller star would do. If I can't get stars with this stock that I'm happy with, what we might do is cut out some stars from sheet metal, right? We'll do some of the 1/4-inch stock that I've got laying around, and we'll cut out a couple of stars from that. And from there, I think that we should be able to get some a solid burn star as opposed to an outline. And I think we can still get the look that I'm looking for without the extra effort. All right, we've got plenty of heat, so we're just waiting on the ad to end. Alrighty, and we are back. Let's do our first heat with our A. All right, how long do we want our A? We want our A to be about a little bit lower than that. But I need this bend in here to be a little, I need the stalk in order to make it a little bit, or to get an upset quarter in there. So we're making it a tiny bit longer than we originally wanted it, so that we have enough material to bump that in there. So that's our initial angle. And next we are going to start the upset corner. All right. So, pretty excited that we were able to process all that steel and get our letter, or get back to our letters. That gives me a lot of hope that we will be able to finish this project before the 4th, which is what my goal for this project. Like I said earlier in the stream, I am going to be spending the 4th of July with some friends, and we're going to be doing a grill out in a park, I think. I'm not sure if it's going to be a campground or if it's going to be a park, but we're going to grill out, and I want to be able to use this piece. So in order for that to happen, I need to finish it and be able to clean it up in time for our picnic on the 4th. It is starting to look like I probably will not have time to do my Ray's Smithy brand, but we can make another one at another time, and I would like to do that. If you want your stuff to get cooked, I rather recommend to have the grill on, not out. That's very true. You gotta turn the grill on to cook the food. I suppose grill out is one of those like phrases that kind of seems a little bit awkward to non-native English speakers. But the out we refer to when we say grilling out is out of the house. So outside, outdoors. All right, let's do another heat. So that bend that we just put in there, I'm going to cool down a little bit on the end of that. And then we should be able to get a relatively straight bar. Gonna keep on keeping on. We're gonna straighten that out again a little bit, and we're gonna heat it up. I understand. Yep. I don't know if we're making burgers, steaks, or both. A normal 4th of July barbecue usually has hamburgers, bratwurst, and hot dogs. And we may end up adding some steak too, because we really like steak. But I really want to have at least some burgers so that I can use our brand on a burger. Like Australian, to ride out when going on a trip with a horse. Makes sense. Ribs. Ribs are awesome, but they're a little bit out of my price range right now in this area. Meat has gone up significantly in comparison to some of the other foods that we often buy. So I've got to be a little bit careful. If I do ribs, they'll have to be on sale. Sometimes they are on sale, you know? Can't you also brand a steak with this thing? Yes, I definitely can. We can definitely brand a steak, but I've been calling it a burger brand, so I kind of want to, stick with the burgers. So we can do anything. It's like meat or the buns. All right, we're going to, once again, cool off the end a little bit. It's a little on the short now. So I'm thinking we might have to, we haven't even gotten our corner yet. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to move this leg forward a little bit more. So make it a little longer because it's starting to get real short. And I'm a little bit worried that it's going to be too short, just like our 2 was. Oh, Ray, stay away from Boston. There's no beer left in the city. Yes, the Tartan Army, they when they came to for the World Cup into Boston, they drained it dry of alcohol. Luckily, it would be quite a long drive or flight for me to get from here to Boston. Quite a long flight indeed. They were also, okay, so the Tartan Army, once they drained Boston dry, they actually went to Kansas City, which is only a 5-hour drive from here. And they had I'm mixing up my teams. I'm really bad at football. It wasn't the Tartan Army. The Tartan Army went to, I think Florida somewhere. We had the Norwegian team in Kansas City, and they paraded through the streets and they rode their Viking boat or ships in the street. There aren't any World Cup games here in St. Louis. Like I said, the closest ones are Kansas City. That's about a 5-hour drive from here. Chicago also did not get any World Cup games. That's another 5-hour drive from here, but in a different direction. So you go from Missouri. St. Louis is on one end of Missouri, and Kansas City is on the other end of Missouri. And then I'm in like a little bump out, and Chicago is up north. Yes, mahalo, yes. But it was a big deal. It's been fun watching all of the European and international fans and what they think of the United States and some of the smaller college towns that they've been going to. It's been really cool. Hey, Simply Blacksmith, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So So like I said, I need to make this leg a little bit longer. So we're going to do this. And we're going to change our upset corner a little bit. Oh, we got a little bit of an upset corner, but not a lot. So I think we'll be all right. There we go. And okay, let's heat that back up. We've got plenty of length now, and I think we should be able to get that lovely upset corner that we're looking for. I need to make sure that I don't make it too short again. Finally caught your stream again. Well, I'm glad to see you here. We have about 45 minutes left in the stream, so that's plenty of time. We have been making letters. So on Wednesday, we made a US and we made a 5-0. Today, we made a 2. And right now, we're making an A. So what we're trying to do is we are making USA 250 so that we can weld it together and create a brand. And that way we can burn USA 250 onto our 4th of July hamburgers as we grill them on Saturday. So I'm super excited. I'm very motivated. I got to get this project done by Friday. When I was in the Chicago area, I never made the trip to St. Louis to watch a Cubs versus Cards game. I saw the Cards in Wrigley Field a few times, though. Hey, Chris, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I have not actually made it to any Cards games. And I live in the St. Louis area, so like I'm a bad baseball fan. I'm not really a baseball fan either, so you know, there is that. Yes. So we definitely want to have some fun for our 4th of July celebration this year. I also want to make a couple of stars to go with this design. But I'm not sure if we're going to make them a outline of stars or if we are going to cut them out of sheet. I've got some 1/4-inch plate that if we heat them up, we can get a solid star burned into our burgers or our buns. And so we'll see. We'll see which one is going to behave for us. All right. Let's do another heat. We're trying to make these a little less than 4 inches, like the whole design in diameter, because those are really big burgers. We want to make sure that we've got them. That they'll fit on the burger. Let's see. Let's make sure we're the right size again. It's still somewhat the right size. I think we're all right. Keep on keeping on. Slowly, slowly. So the plan is to make the overarching circle, like, because I want all of the letters to be inside of a circle. So we're going to make that part on Wednesday, and hopefully we can also manage to get the handle done at the same time. That way, you know, we can hold on to it and brand those burgers. And then later on, I kind of want to make a Ray's Smithy burger brand, you know, because I want to make fancy hamburgers, right? Got to put my own brand in there. But we'll probably come up with a different project first, just so that we can have a little bit of a break from this project. Yep. Slowly but surely, we're going to make it happen. Oh, it's not wanting me to. Whoops. Dropping things. That's my favorite thing, right? Dropping things. I always drop things. All right. So the reason that I want to hammer the leg straight on the edge of the anvil, and the reason that I haven't been doing that is I actually have a little bit of mushrooming on this corner. So I don't want to develop any cold cracks, because that's a good way to get them started. And so I got to be a little bit careful. There are a few other areas that have much smoother corners on this anvil, but right in this area here, there is that little bit of mushrooming. That's because the top plate of my anvil is broken off, and so I am hammering directly onto the raw iron. So over time it starts mushrooming. I'm getting to the point where I'm going to need to grind that back so that I can get a clean edge again. If I don't, I also risk cracking off the corners, like those little mushroomed or coraled over areas, and that would be bad. It's not quite bad enough that it's going to break yet, but soon. So I need to pay attention. All right, let's do this. Getting a lot better. Getting a lot better. It's a little bit on the short side, but I think it'll be all right. We are going to bring that back to the edge, and we're going to draw it out just a hair. It's a little bit on the thick side, so I think we should be all right. All right. Oh, goodness gracious. We are doing pretty good today. So, after this I'm going to probably take a look at trying to start working on a star. We'll see what I can do with that. I've got a couple of stars here on my reference sheet. So there's one here and there's one here. I don't know if you guys can see them. They're a little bit lighter than the letters. So hopefully we'll be able to use this as reference or as a reference guide so we can get a good shape for our star. Hey, Apophis37, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. All right, so we're gonna come over here. Like I said, we're having a little bit, it's a little bit easier there. We don't have that overhang. Should be good. Now we're gonna bring it back over here. We've got our length back. We've got a nice crisp corner in that center. It's a little less good on that top, but I think it'll be all right. So we're going to heat this up one more time. We're going to put the proper angle in there, and we're going to probably call it good there. Then we're going to start working on our stars. Stars. So like I said, when we first started this A, what we're going to do, we are focusing on the outside edge of the A. We are going to ignore that center bar for a little bit. That's just going to be like a little section that we just measure out of that. So I'm only focusing on the angle for that outside edge for the A. It's also going to give us a little bit of a preview of what we're going to have for the stars, like the points on those stars. So yeah, we are almost done with our 6th letter. So we shall see. If I end up doing flat sheet stars, I will definitely do another 5. We have, our 5 is a little bit wonky. The central division between the top and the bottom section is not immediately in that center area. I would like to correct that if I can manage it. We shall see how much time we have with this project. Yep. Okay. Let's do this. I want to open that up just a hair. But I also want to get that lovely corner in there. So we've got kind of something going on there. Maybe we'll do another heat. One more heat just to make sure that that I'm happy with it. It's going to be a little on the short side. But that's all right. Our 2 is a little on the short side as well. One more heat. Yeah, I said it. I said my catchphrase, one more heat. I don't know if it's going to be one more heat, but I'm hoping it's one more heat. Like I said, I really want to take a little bit of time and play around with making some stars. And we only have about a half an hour left in the stream. So I think we can make a good progress on a star, but we'll see. We shall see. Okay. So that's not raw. This is what I want. That's a lot better. That's a lot better. This is a V right now, clearly, but it's going to be an A. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to go over to the post spice and we're going to cut it off. Alrighty, we've got an ad starting in about a minute and a half. I think we're all right. So we're going to change the angle so you guys can see me cut this off. All right, let's see if I can't do this before the ad starts. Move that over there real fast. That is, we're going to need to do a different A. Definitely a different A. I'm not happy with that one. I know that for sure. I can definitely tell. I am not happy with this A. I cut it off way too short. Definitely too short. That was very bad. Ah! This is what I get for hurrying, guys. I should have waited until the ad was over before I cut that off. I think it would have been a little bit more successful, but right now that's all we got. So we're going to need to do a different A, another A. Definitely too short. So I guess we're not going to get to the stars today. But that's all right. We're going to start a new A. Okay. Super short. Super duper short. But we've got some practice in, so I think it'll be all right for our next one. I think we should be fine. All right. Heat up our stock again, and we'll try again. So, like I said, okay. So, I am not incredibly happy with our A. Our A is a lot smaller than even our S, right? So I'm definitely, or I guess our 2. This is a 2, not an S. So I'm definitely going to be doing another one. So we're going to do our A upset corner again. We've got a little bit of practice with this, so we kind of know what we're doing a little bit. We are going to leave ourselves a lot more steel for the leg of this guy, and hopefully we can refinagle it, renegotiate it, and get a better A out of it in the end. So that'll probably be, we'll start that today. I'm not sure if we'll finish it today. We probably should, but I don't know for sure. So on Friday, or no, Wednesday is my next stream. So Wednesday, we are going to look at playing with some stars, and we'll definitely make the round outside edge for this design. And hopefully Friday we'll be able to weld it all together. Okay. Let's move the camera again. All right, let's do this. So we're going to start with something super duper long, and the reason that we're starting something this long is because we can always cut the legs off. So this is much longer than even our S, which is our longest letter. So we're going to start with that. We can always cut off more, but we're going to get a little bit more success starting long than starting as short as we did previously. We're learning from our mistakes. Learning. Safety glasses are starting to get sweaty, and so I can only see a little bit. We're gonna have to go inside at some point in the near future, I think. But that's all right. Stream's almost done. I kind of feel like maybe making this A into a 5 would have been better, you know? We'd have gotten a much more successful piece. All right, let's do our next heat. More heat. All right, we're doing good. We got 32 ounces of water and 32 ounces of Gatorade. That's 64 ounces of liquid. I think I'm all right. so far. All right, we've got a crisping up corner. And it looks like we are about the correct length. So that's good. That's very, very good. So I'm going to finish the angle, and we're going to see if we can't crisp up the outside. Once that's done, I will probably end the stream for the day. Definitely need to get in the house, cool off a bit, take a shower, make sure that I'm hydrated. Curie has shifted her schedule by 2 hours, so she should go for another hour. Cool. I will raid off to Curie. That's awesome. Curie is a great jeweler. She's been working on pieces for her jeweler's test. I think it's like is it a journeyman or is she going for master jeweler this time? She's been practicing setting stones. All right, let's do another heat. She's been a master for years already. Okay. I must have gotten that mistaken. All right, like I said, we're trying to crisp up these edges, like the outside edges a little bit. We're gonna do one more heat and then we'll open up the angle just a hair. And then we'll be done, I think. Oh, okay, she was practicing setting and engraving just for herself, not for an exam. That makes sense. I mean, engraving takes constant practice and maintenance for that skill. It's very easy to start losing that skill. It's so precise. And any sort of handshake, you have to be able to make up for that. And yeah. And then, you know, if you're out of practice stone setting, oftentimes what will happen is you'll crack the stones. And they can get really expensive. Hey, Drunken Dwarf. Welcome to the stream. You're just in time for our last heat. We will be raiding off in a little bit. However, I will be back on Wednesday at 2:30 Eastern, and we will continue working on our project. Well, last heat is always the best heat, right? She has a new pneumatic engraver, which enabled a lot of stuff. Yeah, those are so neat. It's really hard to get used to them though, because they do shake. And so it's like, you got to get used to the shaking. Just like with a tattoo gun, you got to make sure that your lines are nice and straight and they're not wiggly, just like you would with a tattoo gun, because they also jiggle around. So you got to be really precise using those. So I take my hat off. All right, let's do this last heat. For the day, at least. Not for the whole project, but for this A and for the day, yes. We are trying to crisp up this outside edge a little bit. The little extra of the A. Where did I put that? Put that over there. Now we need to open it up a little bit. Got to be careful that we don't end up cracking it or breaking it. So I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right. Well, that's not working the way I want it to, but that's all right. Okay, so let's cut that off and we'll be done. All right, I'm going to turn off the gas so that I'm not pumping extra heat into the air. And I'm going to situate our A in the post vise so we can cut it off and have our A done. We've got our US and our 250 already done, so let's get this A taken care of. We've already tried this once and it did not work the way I needed it to. So let's hope that I don't make the same mistake twice. All right. And there is our A right there. I think that looks a lot better than the previous A. So this, better than this one. So yes, done with that for the moment. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. We will be back on Wednesday to continue working on our design for this burger brand, for burning in our design into the top of a hamburger bun. For the holiday, which is the 4th of July. It is the 250th birthday of the United States. So thank you guys so much for joining me in this project, and let's raid off. All right. So we were gonna raid off to Curie. Make sure that I can spell Curie. Ah, I knew I spelled it wrong. I knew I spelled it wrong. I forgot she's got an IE. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you guys on Wednesday.